The virus is a spiritual gift. It's almost like the planet itself, planet Earth, has said, go to your room. I mean, on many levels, there's a whole new world of finance that is being born here.
People at home now can start awakening, can start, thinking fresh.
I want them to do something different when this idea comes. Trust the process. The greatest time in history to come out with a new idea is right now.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, how are you?
Yes, I'm all right. And it's really a pleasure. By the way, tomorrow is my birthday.
It is.
Yes.
Happy birthday. I wish I had known. I would have made you do this tomorrow on your birthday.
No, but you already done. It's called early birthday present, I think. So it's okay.
It is great to see you. You're a dear old friend. I think of you with such love, and I have such great memories, and Russia and Kiev and so forth, and the events we did together, and you having your first cigar, or the most notable cigar with me.
Gosh. I'm embarrassed to think what things I've done, we've done together, after that. But I'm coming to that, because a lot of people know you as a spiritual leader. Sounds like really like a spiritual leader. You're a musician, you're a book writer. I mean, you're a book writer, and your command of English language is incredible. After talking to you, I always go into the dictionary and I look for the words I've never came across in my life. Then, of course, you are known for movie The Secret. And but one thing which I would like to mention, and otherwise I'll forget, that you're one of those people who, and it's not a compliment, it's a statement, that you walk the talk. I spend a week with you, and I've really realized that the things which you advise people to practice, which you teach, like Ho'oponopono, law of attraction, positive thinking, visualization, involvement emotions in what you want, and being firm to say no if you don't like something. And that's what I still have this warm feeling of being in your company. And I'm serious now. It's not just for the, I really got this, how can I say, vitality. Maybe because I was really drunk. I don't know. But I really, after smoking a cigar, because I've never really done before.
You had half a cigar and one small shot of booze. You weren't drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
Thank
you. Those are nice compliments.
And now I'm serious, because I think you're really one of the person who is making people better. And really, if people read you and listen to you, I think there is so much wisdom in your teaching, and that's really something which. No, but yeah, it's also.
It's touching me. Thank you. I'm taking it in, and I don't know what to say. I'm just being me.
Yeah,
and,
being you, and that's what makes it even better. So you're not trying to pretend being a spiritual leader, but you are.
Thank you.
I'd like to start with a trivial question, and that is about this the word coronavirus.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there is, you're probably in self-isolation in Austin, Texas at the moment.
That's right.
And I'm kind of, for me, I think it's 6th or 7th week, we're in isolation, which I found really kind of okay, even more than that. But what do you think about that? I don't want to go into conspiracy theories, and there are quite a number of them. Saying whether Trump invented that, or China invented that, or it's divide and rule back again, or we get these barcodes and it's metrics coming, and it's like world is testing how to get rid of people. Because really in the future, if it goes like that, technology, emotionally, artificial intelligence, we don't need a lot of people. And so people will be getting paid for staying at home and not doing anything. So I don't know, there are so many things which I'm sure it's a lot of rubbish. What you can make out of it?
I call it a divine conspiracy. I think this is a conspiracy for good. And what I mean is we've all been sent to our rooms. It's almost like the planet itself, planet Earth, has said, go to your room. And now when we're in our room, we've been told, go inside. To me, that means go inside ourselves.
Right.
Go inside. This is our time to meditate, to contemplate, to create, to reconnect to the world, to each other. Thank goodness for the internet. But I'm looking at this as a good thing. I too am inside, but I don't really mind. I haven't driven in weeks, and I have books behind me, and I have books that are coming to me, and I've come out with 2 new books since this has all happened.
And actually, it's one thing about you that every time when I want to introduce you and you give the number of books written, it's already wrong because
Right.
you are producing them at really remarkable speed. And now you said you published what, two new books?
Well, at least 2 more since I've seen you, so definitely more.
I know one, Art and Science of Results. That's what I know.
The Art and Science of Results is this one. That is the most recent book right there.
Mm.
But my point is, we could use this time for good. All the people who have said, boy, if I only had time to fill in the blank, well, they all have time now.
Right.
Anybody who's ever wanted to learn a language, a musical instrument, how to open a business online, how to write their first book, all they have to do is go to YouTube and type in how to fill in the blank, and there will be tutorials, all free, for them to use. But I also look at this virus as a spiritual thing. I look at it as our time to reconnect inside ourselves to the spiritual side of ourselves. We've been too busy running and distracted and looking at technology and looking at our phones and worrying and wishing and wanting and not doing, but keeping ourselves preoccupied with all kinds of things that really didn't amount to much. Well, the plug's been pulled. We've been told to go to our room, go inside, and this is our opportunity to do something worthy. I think we can still all help each other. We can do it like what you're doing right now. You're at home. I'm at home. We're making an interview, which you'll translate, so a whole world, 200 million people who don't speak English or know me is going to be introduced to these ideas, to my books, and all of this material that might be fresh and inspiring to them. This is happening while you're at home and I'm at home.
Right.
That's a miracle to me. So those are the kind of things that are going on. So I call it a divine conspiracy.
Right. And actually, some people use social distancing, but I think it's physical distancing, but socially, we're still connecting even more than ever because the internet is full of different societies, groups of people getting together. And myself, I mean, that's what I started. I've never thought of doing. I was in my comfort zone. I was helping to, work with the big people, and I was like pretty comfortable. Now everything has changed. Then I thought, well, what do? I have to use the wise man, thinking to start something new. And I did. I don't know whether it's going to be a failure. Actually, I don't think so, because it depends really how long I'm going to do that. But
right. Well, here's the thing. We all have something like that to do. You mentioned that you've been in your comfort zone. We've all been in our comfort zone. Everybody plays it safe. With rare exceptions, we don't step out of our comfort zone. Well, I think planet Earth has caused us to reconsider what our comfort level is and is nudging us to step out of our comfort zone and do something different. Maybe do something we've wanted to do all along. That's what you're doing right now. You even said you were going to face your fears. You're stepping out of your comfort zone. You're doing something you haven't done before. This is all a good thing. This is helping you grow. It's helping me grow. This is going to help everybody. And what I'm urging people to do is to look in the mirror and ask themselves, what have I always wanted to do that now I can do? Or a secondary question could be, what can I do that maybe I've never done before, maybe nobody's ever done before, but I can do because of my own unique contribution from where I'm at? When people reflect on that, they got to go inside themselves. They got to think of new ways of having, doing, and being in life, and they have to leave their comfort zone. But all of this is a good thing. The comfort zone is only comfortable because you've been stuck in it. I don't mean you, but I mean everybody. They've been living in it. But real excitement and vitality for life is right outside of the comfort zone. You don't
Right.
have to go far, but if the comfort zone's a little circle here and you just step your foot outside of it, that's where you'll feel the electricity of life.
Right. Uh, I think very, very, I like the saying that good is the enemy of the great. So when we are okay, it's actually a bad thing in a way, because we are limiting ourselves, we're not stretching ourselves, we're not overcoming our fears, and we're not doing things which really, as you said, we wanted to do. Well, of course, one can say that, look, I mean, it's a terrible thing. I mean, I mean, the crisis and the coronavirus, you know, brought a lot of grief. I mean, a lot of people died and still dying. But then I can recall, for example, a time once I broken my bone in my body and I couldn't do sport. And at that time, there was no internet. And I thought it's catastrophe. I had to do some very important things and I couldn't. But now looking back, I know that this was a blessing because it allowed me to slow down, maybe with a kind of jerk, I think it's called, with a bump. I mean, it was really not pleasant. But looking back, you feel that it's a good time. It's the same when people are asked who were, I don't know, at the war. And they said it was the best time of our lives. You know, it's like in prison, it's the best time. I mean, really, so it depends really how you take it.
It is a mindset. We
Mindset.
have to look at things with a particular mindset to appreciate them. I, first of all, remind people this will pass. This is temporary. It will pass. There was a virus, the Spanish flu, 100 years ago, that took out millions of people.
50
million.
million.
Back then, we didn't have the internet. We couldn't be in communication. There was lots of confusion. In fact, the Spanish flu had nothing to do with Spain. It started in France.
Exactly.
But Spain was the one to report on it. And so we blamed Spain and said it was the Spanish flu. So it's the same thing goes on today. There's misinformation that goes on. People have conspiracy theories. People blame other people. None of that really matters. What you have to do is take care of you, take care of your family, and remind yourself that your mindset is going to make the biggest difference. I've been on some interviews where I say there's actually two viruses. The first virus is the one we talk about, the coronavirus. But the second virus is worse. And the second virus is a virus of the mind. It's fear. When we fall into fear about the virus or about our future or about anything else, we actually lower our immune system, which makes it easier for the first virus to come visit us if it gets the chance. So we want to watch, we want to watch our mindset. We want to come from faith. We want to come from optimism. We want to come from positivity. We want to realize and remind ourselves this will pass. Viruses have come and gone. Plagues have come and gone. World wars have come and gone. This will pass too. We need to stay in the moment and as much as possible be grateful for whatever is in this moment right now. We do still have life and we have such wonderful, technology is a miracle. Facebook and social media and what you and I are doing over Zoom right now, this is a miracle. 100 years ago, they didn't have any of this. And we, in many ways, take it for granted. So I'm reminding people, this is a great gift. Be grateful for it. Remind yourself this will pass. Take care of yourself and your family. Do something good where you're sitting. Think good things where you're sitting. And the sun will rise again.
Right. I think in one of your interviews, you said you even referred to coronavirus as divine something, and there is so much wisdom in that. Because if we say that, famous butterfly effect, that if the butterfly then somewhere moves, and here it's the whole world is frozen now, I mean, in state of shock, it must be a meaning for the whole thing, right? Created by whoever did it.
Well, I believe there's a cosmic force, and we have lots of different names for the cosmic force. I won't even list all the different names because everybody has a big name and a different name for the greater energy and the greater intelligence that we're all part of. And I believe it's that cosmic force that has given this as a gift. And the gift is, first of all, we've got to pay attention to our health. How many people aren't paying attention to our health? We're being told to do things like wash our hands. How simple is that? We should have been washing our hands anyway.
Right.
But here we are being reminded to wash our hands. We're being reminded to cover our face or our mouth when we sneeze or cough. We should have been doing that anyway. When we are told to go into our room, again, I think it's a spiritual exercise. But I also know, because I've seen some of the studies, that because there are less people on the road, less traffic, less smog, less pollution in the air, that some of the worst polluted cities, like Los Angeles in California, in America, actually have cleaner air for the first time in decades.
Right.
And
Yeah.
this is just after a few weeks or a month or two of people reducing the pollution they were putting into the air.
And the
So
same
there's
famous
good.
water in Venice, when you can see fish and dolphins now, and these deers coming to the parks
Right,
now.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's good things happening. We're also finding out that there's a new kind of warrior. There's a new kind of hero in the world. Here in the United States, it's the Amazon delivery drivers.
Mhm.
It's the grocery stores and the restaurants that won't let you go inside, but they have people who are bringing food to your door.
Right. Mm.
This is a whole new enterprise. And from an entrepreneurial standpoint, there's opportunities everywhere. The online world, people buying and shipping online is bigger than ever. I actually saw a statement from Amazon which said we would like people to buy less. Who would ever hear such a statement? We would like people to slow down on their ordering on Amazon because we're trying to deliver so much essential information or so much essential product to so many people that we're backing up with our orders. I mean, on many levels, there's a whole new world of finance that is being born here. And people who are working at home are going to discover that thanks to the internet, their computer, and their creative brain power, they can create a product or service right at home and start making money, part-time, full-time, without leaving the house. This is going to be a new awakening for a lot of people. So yes, for me, the virus is a spiritual gift. I'm not dismissing the threat. I'm not dismissing people who have been ill or people who have died. But I am saying for the rest of us, take care of ourselves, take care of our family, and look for the good as we contribute good to this moment.
Any ideas how people at home now can start awakening, can start thinking fresh and thinking about some new ideas? Any kind of life manual? If I remember one of your books called
You mean like one of my books?
Right. It's when do you know when it's going to be available in Russian? I mean, all
Well,
this
that'll be more up to you.
money, love, speed.
Money loves speed. This is a real important one. And whether people get it or not, let's talk about it for a moment. Money Loves Speed reveals the 8 laws of attracting money. And Money Loves Speed is one of those laws. So what does that mean? Everybody at some point in their life gets an idea, a really exciting idea to them. And they're happy and they are electrified with the enthusiasm for the idea. But what do most people do? They don't act on the idea. They talk themselves out of it. Oh, I don't know how to do it. I don't have the education. I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. I don't have the connections. I'm too old. I'm too young. The list goes on.
And
And they don't
environment
do
is saying
anything.
usually you're right. You cannot do that. I mean, you're absolutely right. Forget it.
And so most people don't act on that good idea. Or if they write it down, maybe a few weeks later, they get back to it and say, well, I want to act on that idea. But the energy and the excitement for the idea is gone because too much time has passed. What I've learned is that money loves speed, which means when an idea comes to me, I almost instantly start acting to create it. Partly because the cosmos, if you will, is going to bless the first person that brings the idea to the marketplace. Usually the first person to the marketplace is the first person to profit from the idea. But here's the other thing that most people don't think about. When an idea comes to me, I'm excited. I mean, I've been hit by lightning. I'm so excited. That's the kind of energy that pumps through me. I use that energy to create the idea. I use the momentum of the excitement that's coming through me for the idea to actually bring the idea into reality. And so Money Like Speed, even the book itself was written only in a couple of weeks because I got the idea for the book. I instantly said, oh, I'm going to do that. I started writing it because I had the enthusiasm and the energy, which I put into the writing of the book. And then this is online. It's already been a bestseller, the audio version, the ebook version, the paper version, and of course the Russian version soon, thanks to you. But Money Loves Speed. So people right now are sitting there and maybe they already had an idea. Maybe they've gotten an idea while they've been listening to us talk. Maybe an idea is going to come to them later. I want them to do something different when this idea comes. I want them, first of all, to write it down so they can see it and it's concrete and they won't forget it. And then the second thing, I want them to ask, what is the first thing I can do, even if it's a baby step, to make this idea come into reality?
Right.
Because I want them to start moving in the direction of creating the idea in physical form. And then the third thing is keep the momentum going. You got the idea, you wrote down the idea, you took the baby steps for the idea, but take the next baby steps after those first ones so you can keep going to create the idea. Don't talk yourself out of it. Trust the process. The greatest time in history to come out with a new idea is right now. Right now. And so those are my tips that I would have people consider is be attuned to the ideas and act on them.
Right. Move fast. Yes. Don't allow fear, as in you're always saying, don't allow these blocks, fear to stop you.
Right. That's what this whole book is about. The art and science of getting results. That has 9 ways to get clear of blocks. Because what I'm telling people is the only difference between me and maybe somebody else watching this is the other people are listening to their blocks. I'm not. Even when I decided to be a musician 6.5 years ago, I did have the voice come up like, who am I to be a musician? I got no talent, no skills, no education, no musical background. But I knew enough to question those blocks and not to listen to those blocks, so that today I have 15 music albums done, 15 recorded in studios in 6 years or so.
I think even this guy, his name the same as his surname. I think he played for Led Zeppelin, drummer, very famous, is in your team as well.
That's right. My drummer has the same name as me, Joe Vitale. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He has been the drummer for every rock and roll legend since the 1970s. His best friend is Joe Walsh. And there's a long list of, he's been on 200 gold and platinum records.
Wow.
And he's my drummer.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
And my dearest friend.
That's what actually, that's when I mentioned that you walk the talk. So you're not just inspiring people by something, but you're actually doing it, because you started it not relatively recently, right? Your musical career. I think
That's right. 6 years ago, I decided when I turned 60 years old that I wanted to be a musician.
So 6 years ago.
I'm 66 and a half. So in the last 6.5 years, I released 15 albums.
Right. And you've done some instrumental music and the songwriting.
I learned to play the guitar. I did know how to play the harmonica. I learned to play the saxophone from scratch. I didn't know how to put a mouthpiece on a saxophone. I didn't know.
As long as you use the right ending of the instrument, I think that's okay.
Yes. And soon I'll be playing a tar, T-A-R. I'll be playing a tar. When I was in Iran, somebody said they were going to have one made for me. I had to look up what a tar was. It's 200 years old, and it's like an ancient version of an early guitar. But there's a tar made for me and being sent to me. So you can expect some tar-related music soon.
I never forget, we went to this guitar shop.
That's right.
In Kyiv, I think, or in Moscow. And you said like $5,000 guitar. And said, it's a rubbish. It's rubbish. And somebody is making a new guitar for you, I think, from Italy, right? So somebody did.
That's right. There's a fellow in Milan, Italy, that is just finishing a guitar for me right now, a baritone guitar.
May I ask you? Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite memories of being with you when we went to the music store is that there was a salesperson there who was going to show me where the Russian instruments were. And he's walking right beside me. We're in step, just walking to the musical aisles, and he kept staring at me. And finally he said, Ho'oponopono. And he knew me from
Mm.
my books on Ho'oponopono, like Zero Limits and later book At Zero. And
Mm.
I never forgot that moment, because here I was in Russia,
Right.
totally unintroduced to the man. He had no idea who I was. He's a salesman just taking another customer across the store, but he's looking at me, and he was so moved by the books on Ho'oponopono that he recognized me. I
Mm.
never forgot that moment, because it was such, I don't know, so sweet and so innocent and so unexpected. It was just, it was flattering and it was fun.
Right. But let me ask you a personal question, if you don't mind. I mean, when you started moving to this musical direction, completely out of what you've been doing before, I mean, your, how can I say, your popularity was online a little bit, because a lot of people would say, if you produce rubbish, they would say it's rubbish. I mean, Joe Vitale is writing rubbish. And then your kind of your pedestal, I mean, your guru status could be shaken. And at the same time, you still took the challenge and you achieved, I think you even nominated for some Grammy um,
Yes,
awards, right? So it's, which
that's
is
right.
like
Yeah.
really unthinkable for me. It's like what, 6 years and you are producing music. You've done almost 20 albums. Hey.
Well, I'll tell you what you just highlighted. I I had 2 weeks of sleepless nights where I wrestled
Mhm.
mentally with the very thing you're talking about.
Right.
Because I kept thinking, I've have an established reputation as an author, as a speaker, as a fellow who teaches self-help and spirituality. And suddenly I'm just going to break into a whole new area
Mhm.
and say, hey, I'm also a musician. And what if I totally ruin my reputation? What if I totally collapse my reputation and fame in writing because I do so poorly in music that people start making fun of me? I swear I thought of that.
Mhm.
I almost let it stop me. Almost.
Mhm.
But I asked the other question, which is a better question to ask.
Mhm.
What if people like the music? What if they accept me? What if I create albums that actually sell, entertain people, inspire people, and make a little money on the side?
Mhm.
What if I actually surprise myself and everybody else by coming out completely in a new field, in a new industry,
Mhm.
and actually being notable in it? What if it actually works out? I like those questions better than the than the other questions. And so I said, it's worth the risk. I don't want to be on my deathbed and said, man, I wonder what it would have been like to be a musician.
Mhm.
I want to know now. And some of my albums and some of my songs I'm really proud of, and some of the songs I'd like a do-over. I would like to do it again to make it even better. But I was doing the best I can and learning as I go. So I own the fact that I wanted to do it. I own the fact that it may not work out, but I also own the fact that, hey, it also might work out. It could be fun. And it's been fantastic.
You must be very proud of yourself, because I think taking challenges and winning, this is the sweetest thing in our life. Creating something, right? Creating, making, giving a meaning to what we do, meaning to our life at the end. And
You
it's
know, I don't think of it as being proud of myself. I think of it as just doing what my passion and what my curiosity is nudging me to do next.
Mhm.
I'm not pausing to go, wow, I did really great on a book, or wow, I got great reviews on music. I, that doesn't do anything for me. I don't even think about it. It's more a matter of what am I writing next? I'm writing a book next. I'm more excited about the next book I'm going to write. And then when I release it, I'll get on interviews and I'll hold it up like I do these books.
Mhm.
But if you say you absolutely love the book, I guess I'd be happy to hear it because you're a friend of mine and I want my friends to be happy. I don't want to disappoint you, but I'm not living for that. Maybe that's the way to put it.
Right.
I'm not living for the compliment. I'm creating because that's what's there for me to create. And I hope for the best when I create it, but nobody ever knows how something's going to work out.
Mhm.
You're doing these interviews here and I think you're going to do great, but I don't know that. You don't know that. Nobody can predict that. My next books, my next music, anything, I can't predict anything. Nobody can. And with the idea that nobody can predict whether it's going to sell or not sell, be well received or badly reviewed, then that means just go ahead and do it.
Right. Mhm.
Just go ahead and roll the dice and then find out how the world votes.
I've forgotten the name of the book which I've read many years ago. It's called "Feel the Fear and Do It
Do it
Anyway."
anyway.
Yeah,
Susan
Lady.
Jeffers.
That's right. That's right. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a
And
good
that's the right
message.
concept. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Actually, I say fear is, we need to look at fear differently. We need to call fear excitement.
Mhm.
I remember years ago, because I don't even know how to tell the story, but I remember there were two women who would walk up to a roller coaster.
Mhm.
And one of them was scared out of her mind because she thought she was going to be hurt. She felt like she might throw up. She knew she's going to be on this big wheel and she's got to go up in the air and come back down.
Mhm.
And it was scaring her. The other woman was excited. She couldn't wait to get on the roller coaster. If you ask both of them what they're feeling, both of them, their hearts racing like crazy.
Mhm.
Both of them, the blood's pumping through their system. Both of them, their hands are sweaty. They were going to do the very same thing.
Mhm.
But what they were feeling was the same. They were calling one exciting,
Mhm.
and so she was looking forward to it. The other woman's feeling the very same feelings in her body, and she's saying it's scary, and she wasn't looking forward to it. So I think it's how you label the experience.
Mhm.
If we call something scary, yeah, it's got to feel a little bit on the negative side. We can still do it. We can still march through and walk through the fire, but it won't be as much fun. If we call fear excitement, then we can look forward to doing the very same thing
Mhm.
because our attitude is different. It's all in the mindset.
Right. Whether somebody likes it or not. I mean, you do it for yourself in the first place. You're enjoying it.
Exactly. Yes.
That's what I've noticed about you when we were,
Mhm.
being together. That you were doing things which you feel is right, and
For
you
me.
went, wholeheartedly with the passion. That's why they call you Mr. Fire, right? You have this fire. Do you still have this fire, Mr.
I
Fire?
Yeah, well, Mr. Fire is my nickname. Mr. Fire is my website.
Yes. Okay.
Mr. Fire has been with me over 40 years now. So yes, I still have Mr. Fire.
And you look great. I mean, you look great. You feel great. You're full of ideas, like always, and that's absolutely great. And probably I don't want to take too much of your time, but can you please advise still how people can discover their passion? I mean, do you meditate? Do you kind of ask divine, ask universe? Because a lot of people have got ideas and they don't know really much about themselves, really. How you discover which way to go? There are so many different ways, really, people can realize themselves.
Well, let me give two ways. The first way is meditate. I think we all should be meditating every day, and I don't think meditation needs to be complicated. There was a t-shirt I bought 40 years ago that said, meditation is not what you think.
Mm-hmm.
What that meant was, if you understand meditation, you probably don't. And if you're thinking in meditation, you're not actually meditating.
Mm-hmm.
So what is meditation? To me, meditation is taking the phone off the hook so you can receive from the cosmos. It's getting quiet. It's not being distracted. It's not paying attention to your phone or the internet or whatever, TV, whatever could be
And
the
your thoughts,
distraction.
not paying attention to your thoughts as well, right? So it's pause between thoughts.
It's always different thoughts, but what I advise people when they meditate is to pay attention to what's behind the thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, thoughts are like words or clouds in the sky. They just keep coming. They come right on by. And there's got to be another thought. That's the human experience. There will be more thoughts bubbling up.
Mm-hmm.
The trick is let them come and let them go. In meditation, you are more of a witness.
Mm-hmm.
You're realizing I'm not my thoughts. I have thoughts, but I'm not my thoughts. I don't have to attach to them. I don't have to grab one and hold on to it. I can let the thoughts go, at least during 10 or 20 minutes of a meditation. This is the time where we get really quiet inside. It's also the opportunity for the cosmos to speak to us.
Mm-hmm.
It can whisper to us. It can send intuition to us. It can send a gut feeling to us about what we need to do or what we could do or what our passion is. So the very first way is learn to meditate. And very simply, make quiet time and do your best not to be addicted or attached to any thoughts that come by. Do your best to let them come and let them go, at least during the meditation.
Mhm.
The second thing is to focus on what would you do even if money was not involved?
Mhm.
What is your hobby? What is your desire? Or maybe when you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? Starting to ask these questions will start to unearth what our passion is. Like one of my passions is books, which should be obvious to everybody from the books I've written and the books behind me and the books that I've talked about and books I review. And boy, Amazon knows because I buy
And you
books
read like
virtually
at
every
least
day.
one book a week, right? I think you mentioned it, that you are reading constantly.
Well, Lisa Winston, who's my partner and who you will be
Whom
interviewing
I going
soon,
to interview later? Yes.
yeah, she says I read 4 books a week.
Mhm.
4 books a week. I wasn't really counting or paying that much attention. It's 1 to 4 somewhere in there, but I'm reading all the time because I absolutely love. So that's a passion for me.
Mhm.
I love books. I call myself a book addict. I just love books. And so we want to look at what do we love and take money out of it, take survival out of it. Not that you can't make money from your passion. I want people to make money from their passion. But in order to unearth their passion, they might first have to take money out of the equation so they can see what it is.
Take the
And I
fear
don't
out,
want people
because
to,
money is a fear. Because money, if people feel that, well, if this new hobby or whatever didn't bring me income, what do I do? It's a fear. So you're
it,
taking
it,
fear out of this.
yeah, people, and that's one reason I wrote the Money Love Speed book. There's so much to say about that. People get attached to money being associated with survival.
Mhm.
And money is only one way to get things done or to have a means of exchange. There's other ways to do it. But I want to take money out of the equation long enough for people to find out what their passion is.
Mhm.
And so I would ask questions like, what would you do if money were no object? Or what would you do if you were not afraid?
Right.
You were not afraid. What would you venture out and do right now?
Mhm.
What would you do if you were independently wealthy? In the United States and in some countries, we have the lottery. I think they have it in Russia. I vaguely remember. I don't remember. But it's gone up to $500 million. And I would say, I don't want you to gamble, but if you won the lottery for $500 million and you were independently wealthy, what would you do with your life?
Mhm.
How would you contribute? I know you'd buy a lot. You go buy shoes and purses and cars and who
And do
knows what.
nothing for first 2 weeks.
Right, right. And what would you do after that, though? And so all of these questions are in that part two, where I'm trying to get people to wonder, what would you do if you were free and fearless and had money? What would you do? So those are the two ways: meditate and look for your passion.
Right, right. Well, it's wonderful advice, because I really feel a lot of people are at the crossroads at the moment. And God knows, I think this quarantine taught us a lot, and it's still
Yeah,
on. And we don't know how it will happen in September, October, in autumn. I know that your tour has been canceled
right.
for May, and a lot of my speakers really kind of were canceled. But life is on.
Let's look at that for a second. Can I tell you a quick story?
Sure, of course.
This is a great example of how you turn something bad into something good. A couple months ago, before the virus was a pandemic and it was in all the news, I was beginning to put on a live event in San Antonio, Texas. This was going to be a secret mastermind for about 50 people with me and a couple of speakers. And I was charging thousands of dollars for it. So I got a resort. I started promoting it. I got people signing up for it. And people from Portugal and other countries are all going to fly in for this event. But then we started to hear about the virus, which became the coronavirus. And people started to unregister,
Uh-huh.
cancel, and began to decide they didn't want to fly in. It was too risky. And so in that moment, I had to decide, what do I do? One of the things I teach is the concept, turn it into something good.
Mhm.
Turn it into something good. So I looked at it and I thought, well, it looks like I can't do the live event, so I'll just reschedule that for later in the year. But what can I do? And I thought, well, let me take this event, the secret mastermind that I was going to do live in San Antonio at a resort, and let me do it online.
Mhm.
And I decided I would do a one-day event, one-day virtual event and I would charge 500 US dollars for it. And I would put a ceiling on it of 100, 300 people, something like that. And so I got excited and I said, all right, I'm turning it into something good. It's got to be a virtual event. It's got to be less money. Nobody has to travel. Nobody will be in danger of the virus. This is going to be great. And I promoted it. Nobody signed up.
Oh.
Nobody. Not one. Not one. And usually that means something isn't working technologically, like an order system isn't working. But we tested, everything was working. And then I thought, okay, what do I do now? And I thought, well, I could just cancel it. Who cares? I'll just cancel it and won't think anything of it. But then I thought, no, I built an empire on the word free. I give away lots of things. I have a website at vitalelifemastery.com where I give away entire courses. I sell things there too, but I give away a lot, and I have given away for decades.
Right.
So I thought, how about if I just gave away the event? How about if I did a one-day virtual event, still the secret mastermind, but I'm going to do it online. I'll do it in a Facebook group. I won't charge anything. And how about if I took all the limits off and anybody could come? No registration fee, 8 hours of solid information, no selling, no upselling, no secret this or that, no bait and switch. And I asked Lisa Winston to be one of my speakers. I would carry most of the day. Sean Donahoe was one of my speakers. He's my business strategist. Chuck Pennington was one of my speakers. He talks about forming masterminds. And Caroline Harper was the MC, introducing people and taking questions. So we decided, well, let's just do this. And I announced it. 30,000 people came. 30,000 people. 10,000 people stayed the entire day and had breakfast, lunch, and dinner in front of their computer, watching us. Then, when we were all done, because we never sold anything, so we didn't make a dime. And you wonder, well, why did you do this? And how did you make any money? Well, the first thing was I influenced 30,000 people. That's huge. That's bigger than many cities that I've spoken in, or the hometown where I grew up in Ohio, in the Midwest, in the US. 30,000 people is a huge crowd. I got to touch their lives. A few days after the event, we went to that list and we said, we have a small package. It's an online course that you might be interested in. It costs a few $100s. We sold thousands of them. So we ended up making money after all. And nobody had to go traveling. Nobody had to be in danger of the virus. Nobody had to expend money for room and board. Nobody had to pay extra for fees or anything like that. And nobody paid for the actual 30,000 event. I turned it into something good. These principles that I'm talking about are useful and applicable to anybody, anytime, anywhere. It's just a matter of applying a little bit of thinking to it and looking for the good. How do you spin it into something
wonderful
good?
Story, and I think very relevant, because I'm sure that a lot of people were disappointed and just gave up. I mean, and can
That's
you
my
imagine?
point.
Yeah, 50 people who would listen to you, and your teaching would be, with these 50 people or 30,000, I think you mentioned.
Right.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And the
Yeah.
feeling, I'm sure that the feeling, it's like, even without money, it's when you give so much, then you really feel that you're doing good to the world. And you feel that one way or another, the world will pay you back, and you don't care really whether it will happen or not, but you feel really great. Yeah, I started getting this feeling myself now. I think I'm getting old, because before it was like, oh, well, what I can get for that, but now it's okay. I mean, I'm cool. So I'd like to make
Well, you're doing it. You're actually doing it right now, because you're doing these interviews out of some sort of goodness of your heart. You had an idea, an inspired idea came to you. You're taking action. You've already done one or two. You're doing this. You'll do Lisa Winston. You know lots of people. You can be interviewing people for quite a while, and you can really touch lives. And who knows how the blessings will come back to you. That's what's really exciting, is that I know the cosmos will bless me. I just don't know how. And it will bless you as well.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Joe. It's really, I mean, all this internet is a wonderful thing, but I would love to give you a hug. And so really, it's something which is life event always will have something in them, right? The energy. I mean, I can feel your energy, and the technology allows to feel it. But of course, life events would be also, it's like, how do they call, cherry on the cake or something, like, would be like fantastic. And I hope we'll
Well,
have more
speaking of
events.
cake, I hope you have a great big sweet cake tomorrow with whatever else you want for your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Joe. Thank you very much. Pleasure talking to you, and thank you very much for your time.
I love you. I'm grateful for you. I miss you, and I long to see you again and to meet your wife and family. I met them virtually, and I want to meet them all in person at some point.
Me too, Joe. Me too. Thank you so much. Okay.
Okay.
Love
Bye-bye.
you. Bye-bye. Bye.